Welcome to the very first episode of Motorcycle Rides Around London. Today we're going to go from St John's Wood to Farringdon, where I'm popping in to see a client. And it's just stopped raining. Of course, we shouldn't be surprised about rain in mid-October in London. But it's been replaced by this beautiful blue sky and slightly treacherous conditions. Damp surface, quite cold. Lots of leaves everywhere, recently fallen from the trees. So it's a cautious day. Not that every day isn't, of course, on a motorcycle. But we're watching out for hazards. And here's a man on a Brompton. He's not a hazard, but that man in the road is. And the man up in the trees, dropping all those branches down. That's an amazing job, isn't it? Not one for the older chap. Look, we're all looking on in amazement. He's going to let us go. What a nice man. But watch out for those twigs, though. They can catch you out. Gosh, I look very sad. I'm happy inside. It's just not showing. I must try and smile more. So Hamilton Terrace. It's a very nice part of London. Some of the houses on the left, like that big grey one, go for about 25 million quid. But it's a bit of a rat run, because it runs parallel to Maida Vale, which is on the right-hand side. And I'm not sure if I had 25 million quid, I'd want to live on quite such a busy road. And what's this car going to do? It looks like he's got trapped in the middle of the junction. Is he going to go backwards? Forwards? Stay there? Shall I go round him? Is he going to move in the nick of time because my lights are about to change? There they go. Oh, he's going forward. And he's going to stay just there. I'll nip round. Now there's a house down here on the right that was owned by a chap called Joseph Bazalgette. There's a blue plaque on it, which is why I know this, because every time I ride up in the other direction, I look at the blue plaque. It's a relatively modest house, as you can tell. But Joseph Bazalgette invented the London sewerage system, so we've got a lot to thank him for. I think these videos are going to be very informative if they carry on like this. Now this is very strange. When I turn onto St John's Wood Road, I'm normally confronted by a queue of cars waiting for the lights. And I normally never get through these lights. Well, it's going to be a good day, I feel. Landmark coming up on the left, Lord's Cricket Ground. There's the Grace Gates. I'd normally feel very happy about passing Lord's at this time of year because I'd be reminiscing about many happy days spent sitting in the grandstand here on the left. The white one there. Well, not actually that white one because they've just rebuilt that, but the old version of that new white one. And I'll be reminiscing about sitting there with my friend, drinking beer and watching cricket. Well, actually, more about drinking beer than watching cricket, but the cricket was nice. We used to laugh at midday, because on the stroke of midday, all you could hear was thousands of champagne corks popping around the ground as people got started on their afternoon's entertainment. Could have been Prosecco, I suppose. Now this Vauxhall on the right, I've noticed he's got his indicator on. He's in the wrong lane. He wants to come over into my lane, but I think I'm just going to nip ahead here and let him pop in behind me. I could have let him go, but it could have got messy, couldn't it? So I think I did the right thing. St John's Wood High Street on the left there. It's not a cheap high street. Anyway, now we're pootling around the north side of Regent's Park, which is on the right-hand side. Regent's Park was evidently founded by Henry VIII back in the day. It said he appropriated the land, you can imagine. He must have walked around going, that's a nice bit of hunting, I'm having that. And it's been in the Crown estate ever since. So quite a good bit of appropriation, I'd say. I love these flats on the left, those balconies. They've got a great view of the park and over, from that height, most of London. Now this car on the left has just jumped through a red light. There he goes. That is a red light. There's another crossing coming up, which always attracts the amber gambler. What's this car doing on the left? I'm not quite sure I like all that poking your nose out business. We walk our dog in Regent's Park on the weekends. Only on the weekends because it's free to park. She chases squirrels for an hour, solidly, never stops running, completely exhausted by the end of it, never catches anything. And here's a little chap crossing the pedestrian crossing now. He's come from his walk in Regent's Park. He's probably very tired, heading off to Primrose Hill on the left. And I'm thinking, because it's a weekday, he probably lives around these parts, lucky chap. There's the bird cages for the zoo on the right, and lots of coaches full of screaming children. Now I've spotted in my mirror a chap coming up extremely quickly on a scooter. There he is. I'm going to let him go. He's in such a hurry, he's going to go right through that red light by a country mile. Now that's a risky game, isn't it? Because on a motorcycle, you're going to come off worse in the argument against virtually any other form of transport, or indeed a policeman. The dodgy junction I was talking about is coming up next. You can almost guarantee that somebody's going to jump a red light here, not from my direction, but from the cars coming from the left. I think it's something to do with the phasing of the lights. They've got it wrong, because it happens so often. We shall see. Now the lights are amber, now they're red, and here he comes, straight through by about 2 seconds. I probably got a bit close to him in fact, but I just wanted to let him know that I'd seen him. There's the Grand Union Canal going into Camden, floating Chinese restaurant on the left, and the car park for the zoo on the right, very empty. But I suppose it's not peak season, is it? Everybody's at school, or at work, or sitting at home. They're not at the zoo. Very bright here, blinded by the light. Thank goodness I've got my Chips sunglasses on. California Highway Patrol. Do you remember that series? They used to wear dark sunglasses, these American motorcycle policemen, and open-face helmets. That's where I get my inspiration. And we're off again, heading down into Camden Town on Parkway. They've changed the lights at the bottom of this road, and of course every time they change the lights, it seems never to be for the better. So Parkway is now one huge car park, but you can always find little gaps on a motorcycle. And running down the left here in Parkway seems to work, even though it can get a little bit intimate, or very intimate like this. Oh, he's moved. What a nice man. Otherwise I would have had to stop, and that would have slowed us down slightly. Just keeping my eyes open here, there's a cyclist behind me, so I'm going to let him come past. There he goes, because there's a very large cycle stop lane in front. And I'm being a bit naughty here because I want to get into that. Oh, somebody's getting angry, I can hear the horns. I don't think they're beeping at me, even though I shouldn't really be in that box. In fact, I'm going to go back a bit because I've decided to follow our cyclist friend rather than go down the middle. So whatever he does, I'm going to do. Oh, that's a city sprint. Lad on the bike on the right. He's going down the middle. I wonder who's going to be right. We'll find out in a minute. I'll follow my cyclist friend and see where we end up. Because this can be a good gap. Oh, it might be disappearing. I think it is disappearing. We're going to have to go down the middle, follow our city sprint boy. Yes. Oh, that's worrying. The cyclist getting off. I'm wider than he is. If he can't get through, I won't be able to get through. But to the millimetre, yes, and we're through. And now we've got a free run right to the very head of the queue. which is where every motorcyclist needs to be. Although not quite at the front, because our city spirit friend hasn't seen me. He's on his phone. Is he going to see me? Is he? Yes? Yes, he is. What a nice man. There you are. He's going to have a lovely day now. I'll cheekily edge in front of him, and I'll check that our cyclist friend isn't too irritated by me being there. He gets a head start anyway. If you go up the first left, that takes you to Camden Market. The second left takes you to Kentish Town. The third left takes you to Holloway. So many choices. Your life could go in so many different directions from that one junction in Camden, couldn't it? Now, I've got to admit, this is quite a boring road, and I was trying to think of things to say about it, but I can't. It runs parallel to Camden High Street. It runs south, and Camden High Street runs north. And that's probably all you can say about it. I suppose if you live here, it's much more interesting. But to us, not so. If you turn right and follow that car, and then do a quick left, that takes you down to Euston Station. But we're not going that way because we're going to St Pancras and King's Cross. And this is the road to St Pancras and King's Cross. I'm still surprised at the lack of traffic and our uncanny ability to get through every red light, nearly. Maybe the bad weather this morning's put people off. Although usually, when it rains, everybody gets into their cars, and the traffic's worse. And it's worse anyway because nobody's using public transport, so everybody's in their cars, even on a good day. I shan't worry about it too much. I shall just enjoy it. On the left is the Royal Veterinary College. Well, not quite, up that road on the left. I did a bit of work for them in the past. I photographed Princess Anne for them once. I remember her security man saying, you can do anything you want, you can take any pictures you want, but you can't photograph her eating. She won't like that. And I've never forgotten that. So if I ever photograph Princess Anne again, I shall remember to steer clear if she's got a Cornish pasty in her mouth. Now on the left is one of the oldest churches in England, St Pancras Old Church, AD 314. It's very old. Not quite so old as St Pancras Station here on the left. This is the new bit. The trains here go up to the Midlands, places like Derby, where they make aero engines, or used to, before people stopped flying. On the right hand side, above those arches, you can see a white sign that's always made me chuckle. It's a company that sells radiator covers. And as we drive past it, you can spot the deliberate mistake. Radiator is covers. It always makes me giggle. And they never change it. On the right here is the Francis Crick Institute, and what a magnificent building that is. Isn't that an immense bit of architecture? It's stunning, especially on a day like this. Biomedical research, evidently. Part of this regeneration of the King's Cross area in St Pancras, along with the rather beautiful, some would say sympathetic restoration of St Pancras Station here, which contrasts a bit with the British Library, which by any standards is not a beautiful building. It's a very loud motorcycle here. I shall follow him down this gap. I can see another gap. And are we going to get to the green light in time? No, we're not. And he's not even going to go down the gap. You don't want to be stuck behind a lorry, my friend. Oh, that's very nasty. You want to go through this gap here, even though it looks impossible. Because then you end up at the front of the queue. And as we know, that is the answer to a lot of problems. There's the British Library again. It's much better inside than it is on the outside. It's a Grade 1 listed building though, so it's never going to be touched, even in 1,000 years, which is a strange thought. about my phone. Still look miserable. Note to self, must smile more. Now here's one of these funny cyclists go first traffic lights that always catches car drivers out, well, and me in fact, because you see a green light and you think it's for you, but it's not. It's a trick, it's for them. And then you have to wait, and you think, how long am I waiting for? Are they broken? That's a very long one. Oh, I'm going to nip in front down here. Shall I go into the bus lane? Because I can? No, there's no cars. Now that's a magnificent sight, isn't it? The St Pancras Hotel, Victorian London, at its very finest, along with the Houses of Parliament. But we're now on the Monaco Grand Prix, down to La Rascasse, to back. It's a mad, headlong rush from here up to Angel. I don't know what it is. People tend to lose all sense of reason here. I must admit, I'm going quite quickly just to get out of the danger zone. Foot to the floor. Although not really, because I haven't got an accelerator pedal. My go button's on the left-hand side there. Bearing right now, towards Clerkenwell. Had we kept left, that would have taken us up the long hill to Angel and Islington. But we're heading towards Mount Pleasant. What's his car doing on the right? He's not going to stop for me, is he? He's just going to join in. I think he's going to nip round behind me. There he goes. And he's going to turn left. And what's this motorcycle doing? That's very strange. I've never seen that before. Novel, I'd say. So Mount Pleasant, one of Europe's largest, or was one of Europe's largest sorting offices, with its own underground railway, leading to other sorting offices all around London. Now I looked up how Mount Pleasant got its name, because it's a nice name, Mount Pleasant. It's somewhere you think you want to live. And it says here, the street called Mount Pleasant ironically gained its name in the 1730s after locals had begun to dump cinders and other refuse. Well, you can imagine, can't you, that cinders must have been the best of it. The other refuse, well, probably quite pungent. So you can indeed see the irony in the name Mount Pleasant, because it must have been anything but. Still blinded by the light here, as we go through yet another green light. Thank goodness I've still got my chip sunglasses on. Now that vast area of land on the right was all part of the sorting office. They've since sold it to build some houses. Well, quite a few houses, judging by the size of the plot of land. And this is the original sorting office building. It's a lovely bit of architecture, pure, what, 20s? Early 30s? So on the left is Rosebery Avenue, takes you up to Angel and Sadler's Wells Theatre. Also on the left is Exmouth Market, which is well worth a visit, full of pubs and very nice food. And there's a street food market there during the day, lovely in summer. And this road heads all the way down to Farringdon and Clerkenwell and eventually to the river. But we're not going that far today because my client has an office down here. So that's the end of our first journey. I hope you join me for the next one.